Hi everyone. Today we have with us Raihana Maqbool. She's an independent journalist based in Srinagar, Kashmir, and she has been covering gender, human rights, climate change for almost a decade now. Hi Raihana, thank you so much for joining us. So today let's talk about how did you end up becoming a journalist?
So making the story short, because I would say it is a long journey, but then I thought of journalism when I was in school. So I used to get so fascinated by watching all the journalists on television and all, and at that point of time I wanted to become a broadcast journalist. So I used to see the journalists, like nice ones, mostly on DD and all. So that was my inspiration at that time, because that was just I used to see. But then I seriously thought about journalism when I was in my class 12th. So I wanted to go into journalism because there was no such reason to go into journalism, but yes, I was fascinated by it. So I started my journey by applying in a college at Baramulla, and at that time Baramulla was the only college in Kashmir where journalism was taught, and we had a good competition there. So we had to go through an exam, and only 17 students were to be selected, and I was lucky amongst those 17. And at that point I felt that, oh my god, I have qualified some huge examination. So that's when the journey started, and then I did my masters also in journalism, and I started journalism exactly in 2014 or 15 of 2014. I started working with a local newspaper, and I mostly covered health, women and gender, and that's how the journey started, and it's going on still.
And was there anything particular that attracted you towards journalism, or appealed you towards journalism?
Of course, then after I studied, I completed my bachelor's, and that at that point of time I got to know, yes, what journalism really is. It's not what I only watch on television, it's something different. So basically the thing is that while going out, you get to see those stories, you get to see those things which you really want. You say sometimes that why is this thing not talked about, why don't people talk about this, why don't journalists talk about this. You see women in problem, you see the problems of women, problems in healthcare. So that's when you start thinking, yes, that's what motivated me. I wanted to tell the stories of these women. I want to tell the stories of mostly it was first I was so much interested in telling stories of women, and mostly of healthcare. And yes, they were the things which motivated me, and even right now also they are the things that motivate me, and that's how it started.
And why did you think of doing you talked about you were attracted towards doing reporting more on women, but why health? So was there any special experiences towards healthcare? You felt like this is something I really wanted to
exactly
explore.
So I would say I was in college, we had a project, and we were to travel to this place called Vevan. So it falls in Bandipora district, and we had to walk almost for I think we walked for 5 hours to reach that place. And when we reached that place, there was no system in place. There was just one school, and there were few teachers, that's it. So there I saw was women's health care. So the women shared the stories that how when they were expecting, they were pregnant, so they were taken on the sort of charpais, and one woman shared the story that how her daughter-in-law died while she was being transported on, men were carrying her. And that's how interest in healthcare started. And I think that was one of the experiences that I still remember, because it was a very far off area. There was no road, there were no facilities, there was no healthcare center. There was a small healthcare center, but there were no people, there were no professionals there. There was not a single doctor there. So that's how the journey started. And yes, that's how I wanted to tell more stories about this, and I have written about them later on. And yeah, that was a good experience.
And could you little bit talk about your shift from working in a news organization in the newsroom, and then shifting to your independent journalism?
Okay, so I started working with this news organization, Global Press, in 2015, and I worked with them for almost 5 years, and in 2020 I started freelancing, and the shift has been good so far. Though sometimes you feel like, you know, overburdened, because you have to pitch a lot, you have to see which stories get accepted where, and you have to work like much harder. And in news organization, one thing is there, you know, you have an organization, you know which stories they take and all. But when you go into freelancing, yes, you have like hundreds of ideas, but you send those ideas, you send those pitches, but you know, most of the times we get rejections. And the thing is that, yeah, I never felt dejected by the rejections. It has always been a good experience, and freelancing has been great so far, because I got to write for the organizations which were like quite good. I worked with good editors, and I got to tell the stories that I really wanted to tell. And since then, 2020, I have been freelancing for some international organizations, and the journey has been like smooth, though there are many ups and downs. You get like sometimes, you know, so sometimes you do get like dejected and all that, yeah, this is such a good story, but why did the pitch did not get accepted and all. You had so much hopes that yes, this editor will take it. And then in freelancing, one thing I saw is there sometimes, you know, you get dejected by the money the organizations pay. So mostly if you see, like we talk about Indian organizations who pay in pennies, so you really want a story, you want it for a national media, but then when the money part comes, you really don't want to pitch it to Indian media organization. So yes, the journey has been smooth, like transitioning from a newsroom where I worked for 5 years. It was great, I got to learn so much from there, and then coming into freelancing, which was completely different for me, because you know, I had to find new contacts altogether. And first the journey was so difficult because I had no idea, because I had never freelanced in my life. So it was so difficult at first, like, come on, where should I pitch, getting contacts, talking to people. And you know, yes, you get so much help from people like who are helpful, but there are so many people also, like even like people whom you know and you have expectations, yeah, this person might help me in contact and all, but they end up not helping you. And then what I saw in the end was that yes, you have to help yourself. So that's how I transitioned, like got contacts, and yes, alhamdulillah, the journey has been going great since then.
And were there any particular experiences as a women freelancer?
I think, if I talk about my journey as a woman freelancer in Kashmir, so I think I have been sort of privileged, because I did get like good response from editors and all, and particularly they liked the stories that I pitched. So I think in that way I have been like privileged. And also not only talking as a freelancer, just talking about as a normal journalist in Kashmir, woman journalist in Kashmir, I feel the privilege of like getting contacts, talking to like women who normally don't speak their stories to, like, you know, male journalists. They are not comfortable and all, like, you know, you get access to their homes easily, you get to sit with them, you get to know those stories which, you know, male journalists hardly get to know. So in that way I feel like, yeah, it's good to be like a woman journalist in Kashmir, though there are like challenges also, like traveling and all, but yeah, it has been great.
So Raihana, you talked about your the pluses of freelancing as a woman, as a journalist in general. So what have been some of these particular challenges that you have experienced?
Okay, so no, if we talk about Kashmir, so the reporting I have done in Kashmir, so yes, the challenges that other people face also, what I have faced was traveling alone. So though it has always been like, you know, safe, I have always felt safe traveling to areas, but you know, sometimes traveling to the areas which you feel that it's not safe. So as a female journalist traveling alone to that area, you get it in your head that should I travel to this place alone or not. So that's one challenge I have faced as a female journalist in Kashmir, like navigating between city to like far off areas. So that's one challenge. And in other challenges, obviously you get the challenges of like sometimes, which it's not only about the journalists, like a female journalist faces. So it's a challenge that every journalist in Kashmir faced and has faced so far, was the telecommunication ban and everything. So that was another challenge, but right now it's not a challenge anymore. So if I talk about challenges, journey has not been great. So I have a great support from my family. So my family has always been like, like normally you get to see people in Kashmir who say, why did you take journalism, as you know, why did you want to go into journalism? But my family never asked me this question, about journalism, does it pay good and all. So for me that has not been a challenge. Like my family has always been great, they have been supportive of my career, so that's one of the good things that I got from like this field. And I did see challenge in one thing was some of like my people whom I knew, and they would always ask me this question that why did you go into this field, and they still keep asking this question, why did you go into this field, why not into some other field, why didn't you choose MBBS, why didn't you go for engineering and all. So that's I think that's still a challenge, because some people keep asking you the same question again and again, even though you have been in the field for like nearly 10 years now. But yeah, that's one challenge I'm still facing that challenge. But other than that, I think the journey is smooth. It has been great, apart from those ups and downs which keep coming and going, and that too, like when you work in Kashmir, you know how to. And one thing what Kashmir has taught me, and like I have been working in Kashmir for so many years now, so one thing which Kashmir has taught me is that how to be a good journalist. Honestly, if I had worked somewhere else, I couldn't have gone through. So Kashmir teaches you a lot, from like conflict reporting to everything. It teaches you a lot. It teaches you empathy, which is so much needed.
And women in all the professional settings face a lot of challenge. Do you think in women journalists in general, not just in Kashmir, in South Asia, face any particular challenges in the field, or like in pitching stories, in getting grants, and all these things? Could you a little bit talk about this?
I think I don't know whether we should call it a challenge or not, because I haven't faced any such sort of like challenge in pitching. Like an editor would tell me you're a female and all this and that, so I haven't faced any challenge so far in that. Even like getting grants, I never faced that challenge. But yes, obviously working in a underdeveloped region, in that too in South Asia, working in India, there are like challenges that women journalists face. And but if you talk about myself, if you talk about me, I haven't faced any such like challenge so far, so I don't know whether I should talk about it or not, except for like rejections, which I don't think that's a challenge. That's a normal thing in a job. And yes, one challenge you face while like reporting in India, not in Kashmir, in other parts of India, is I did face some sort of challenges while traveling for some stories. So sometimes you would not feel safe at a particular place. So whenever I go to like travel to some states in India or some areas in India, regions in India, so I make sure that I tag a person along with me to like overcome that challenge.
And what about like freelancing? Like how do you see your freelancing career now, like after 10 years of your journalism?
I think it's good, it's great. And sometimes when pitches don't get accepted, so you feel like, should I give it up or like take some other job and all. But then you think that I have been doing this since 10 years, come on, why should I even leave it? So it's first when you start doing journalism, there's so much passion. You want to do this, you want to do that, you want to go there, you want to do all those stories which like other people don't do, or like you want to work on other things and all. So I think one thing which should remain there is passion to do things, passion to report stories, passion to report on things that people now ignore. So that's how freelancing is still continuing, and for me it has never been a burden. So I love it. I love to write on things, and also freelancing, it gives you space to write, and it gives you that breathing time. You have a story, you will work on this, and then you can rest for some days, take a good break, and then work on other story. So I feel like freelancing is good. And one thing you need is that good contacts, always good contacts, and working with good editors is always great. And one thing freelancing which still I love it is like you get to work with new editors every time. So many times the editors keep changing, then they introduce you to the other editor, and then you have to like completely get yourself to work with that editor. But I think that's a good thing. You get to learn so much, and that's a boon for me.
And have there any been inspirations around that you look up to?
I think of course, in Kashmir, I think even if you see, every single person is an inspiration. We don't always look up to journalists as inspiration. Obviously they are. We have so many senior journalists here who have worked great, who are like award winning, who have won so many awards. So I don't only look up to them. Obviously they are always there, they have done great. You read their work, you get inspired. Come on, this person has done this, I would also love to do that. But yes, this inspiration doesn't always come from journalists. It comes from a common person. You get to learn so much, even if you sit with your sources and then they talk about, you know, life journeys. They give you so many lessons, which is inspiring. And like sitting with Kashmiri women and also men, and then they talk for hours and hours, and they talk about their challenges, the stories, you know, which you don't hear about in normally. Like you sit somewhere, you don't get to hear those stories. So for me, they are so inspiring, and they continue to inspire me. And I love to, it's like sometimes if I don't get to write the story also, but you know, I come up with great lessons from these people. So I think all the people in Kashmir, they are so inspiring.
And Raihana, could you talk about a little bit about your projects that you are, I'm sure you're proud of your entire work, but some of the projects that you can a little bit talk about.
Yeah, so I would start with like talking about stories. So obviously I'm so proud of all the work that I have done so far, but I did a story for Global Press from Marwa. So it's a place in Kashtawar. So it was a story on dams. So it's an interesting story because once I was in Srinagar, so one of my friends, she made me meet this guy from Marwa, and out of nowhere he started talking about this problem, that they had this huge problem there, and he said that no journalist like ever has gone to their place. Would you like to come? Would you like to write about this problem if you feel? So like even like thinking, come on, should I go or not? Even like I had no idea where this place is. So I pitched this story to my editor. She loved it, and then we started traveling, and we had no idea where we were going. So my friend was accompanying me, and the source, obviously we had no idea where we were going. But then yes, the source, he proved to be so good because he helped us with contacts, everything there, what was happening there. We lived there for 3 days without any communication. There were no mobiles, and still they don't have any network there. So you had to work with all these things without like communication with your editors. Like even if you had a problem, you couldn't like call your editor, like message your editor that I have this certain problem, what should I do? So you had to do everything there. So we stayed at that place for almost 3 or 4 days. And then yes, the story was great. I got to like talk to so many people there, and they were so thankful that first time ever journalist had visited that place. And at that point of time, I felt so proud of myself that I took this decision of going to that place, and I will remember it throughout my life. And when I came back, I was so satisfied that yes, this is one thing that should be done, because normally journalists sometimes, you know, they love luxury and all, they love to go to their comfortable places, they don't love to go to these places. So yes, it was a good decision. And apart from that, yes, I have worked on like different projects and like grants. I got a grant from Earth Journalism Network, so it was a biodiversity grant. I worked on a story on migratory birds. It was a great project. I worked on a story with ICFJ. The story is still to come, but yes, I have a grant from them, and other projects also, like many projects.
So if I'm not wrong, you also got that Pulitzer project. Could you little bit talk about that?
Okay, yeah, so I have got a grant from Pulitzer Center. So it's a story which is on the so the story is on climate change and women, and it's basically it revolves around winters in Kashmir and how women in the tribal areas of Kashmir go through this process of climate change, how climate is affecting them, their work at home, and how they are navigating. These tribal women, they do everything, they do all the work at home, and then apart from doing that, they do everything outside. Like they get the wood from the forests, they have to travel, I think, for at least 4-5 kilometers to get water in the freezing temperatures, because the water doesn't come to their homes. And they have to walk so much. Like they get the wood first, then they get water, and sometimes the water is finished, they go out again to get the water. So whole process continues, and they are the male as well as the female person of their family. And even when I was doing the story, one woman told me that when it's winters, our men like to sit in the corners of the house, and they take a kangri and then they just take smoke and all. They don't help them in any field. So the story revolves around that. It's yet to published. It will be published somewhere soon.
Raihana, you have attended so many conferences, you have been to so many places. So could you a little bit talk about your trainings, your conferences as a women freelancer?
Yeah, so every conference, every training I have been, so they have been great and they have been life changing. So I remember the first training I got, it was from Thomson Reuters Slavery and Trafficking Workshop, and it was 2016, somewhere around 2016. So that was the first training that I attended, and the training was great. Apart from the trainings that we usually attend in universities and all, we had trainings by Panos, BBC and everything, but that was my first training as a journalist, and it was great. And after that I have been a part of many trainings, and I have traveled a lot for my training. So one training was by Caravan, and it was a narrative journalism. So we traveled to Sri Lanka for that training. It was so they had this other foundation, KAS Media, which is based in Germany. So the training was about narrative journalism, and it was so good because there were people from Caravan, the editors from Caravan magazine, and you got to learn so much from these trainings. And I feel that every person should apply for these trainings because they are life changing. And for me, every training has been life changing. I have been a part of trainings on I think everything that comes under journalism. I have been a part of religious intolerance training, which was by ICFJ. There was another training by ICFJ that I attended in Nepal. And yes, I attended this completely wonderful boot camp. It's called the Himalayan Boot Camp. So it's co-sponsored by the World Foundation of Science Journalists. So it was such a lovely experience, and I can't even say. So we traveled to this place called Namche in Nepal. So it's on the way to Everest, and we traveled for some 4 days. We trekked for some 4 days, and we had mentors. We had a mentor from Third Pole, we had a mentor from Nature India, and we were fellows from Nepal, India and Bangladesh. So it was such a lovely experience because while we were trekking, so we used to get all the information. We used to meet so many people on the ground, which you never imagine, going into the Himalayas, meeting these people, getting to know about their experiences. And then apart from that, you make so many lifelong connections with the other colleagues that were a part of this boot camp. So it was such a lovely boot camp. We got to know so much. We got to know about the food they eat, and we also enjoyed the food there, and trekking. So it's a completely different experience for a journalist, going for a boot camp. And I would love the other people to be a part of that boot camp. It's really great. It's really great. You get to learn so much. And then we also, in that boot camp, we got to meet the person who was the first to travel to Everest, and he was the first to summit Everest with the person who had summited. He was a Sherpa, so we got to meet that person. He was some 100-something years old. So it was a great experience for us. So yeah, that was another training I attended. And then I was a fellow with Stanford University. So I was their CDDRL fellow, and yeah, that was a completely game changing. So it's for leadership and development. So because of COVID, our program went online, so we had this thing online. So our classes used to run till 4 a.m. during the night, but you never felt that you are sleepy and all. You used to enjoy the lessons by the professors so much. And then we traveled to Stanford also when the COVID restrictions were lifted. So for me, the trainings have been so good, and I'm so lucky to be a part of all these trainings, because but the one thing is that you have to apply and keep applying and never get rejected. We get so many rejections also, and then I have seen so many people say, I applied, why would I apply again? So for me, the formula is applying again and again until you get selected. So I keep applying, and I still keep applying for all the trainings and all. So because you get to learn so much from them.
And Raihana, do you think all these trainings that you just talked about has helped you to become a better journalist and a better version of yourself?
Of course, because there needs to be an end product when you are a part of these trainings. You need to be and for me, these trainings they have obviously made me a great journalist. I would not say great. They have made me a good journalist, and I have learned so much, and not only from the people who used to mentor us, but also from the colleagues who are there to share their experiences, because you don't get to meet people from this country. So these trainings bring you at one place, and then you get to meet all these people and they share their experiences. And what a good thing is that you end up like collaborating with these people. So it has always been great. So for me, I had never imagined like meeting Pakistani journalists. So in these trainings, I met so many journalists from Pakistan, and and they are doing such a great job. And I had never imagined like I met so many women journalists from Pakistan, and some were from the Baloch region of Pakistan, and I had never imagined like Balochi journalists working so great, and so they have won so many awards and also, and they are doing great work. So yes, obviously these trainings not only make you a good journalist, but they do, like when you are leaving these trainings, when the trainings are finished, you always have good takeaways, and I never had a bad experience with any training so far. So alhamdulillah, they have been going great.
And have you got any opportunities where you sort of like mentor other young journalists and who approach you, or you get that kind of space where you talk about your experiences and other your journeys in particular, your journey in particular?
I would say people approaching me for like these fellowships and all. So yes, I think a few people, very few, I would say, out of like, if you talk about 100%, so I would say 1%, somebody like messaged me, I want to apply for this opportunity, how should I apply? So yes, I do give them directions how to apply and all. But I would say at least people should be coming, because I have been a part of so many trainings. They should be coming, they should be asking like how should we apply. And I don't know why people are they hesitant, or they don't want to ask all these questions and all. But I have if I say talking about my journey and all, like I would say yes, in a few conferences only, not like as a group where you could talk about, you meet like 10 people from Kashmir, you tell them about these opportunities and all. No, there has not been an opportunity so far where I could like talk about my journey, talk about these opportunities, how to apply for them. No, nothing has happened so far. But yes, individually journalists do apply, and they do like approach, and they do ask these questions very often. But I would say it's a very small like group of people, very small. So people should be approaching, they should be asking. Obviously we are there to help, we are not taking anything away with us. So yes, if anybody wants ask like how to pitch to this organization, about contacts and everything, where to get this information, where to apply for this program, and also like references and everything, we're always there. But it's like they have to come, we cannot go there and tell them, do you want to apply, do you want to come, so come. So yeah, that's the question.
And what sort of hopes you have from the next generation of freelancers? Like, how do you see the journey when you started, and what kind of I would not say challenges, struggles, and what kind of privilege they have now? How do you see that? Do you see the freelancing has evolved over these years?
I think there have been two things. So in some people, freelancing has evolved. I have seen so many good journalists from Kashmir, not only women, male journalists also, who have got good opportunities, and after their freelancing, they are now at very good positions. So they are doing great in their life. And if we talk about freelancing in Kashmir, so I think some people are doing great when it comes to their freelancing career and all. But also there are like journalists in Kashmir whom I have only seen, I don't know whether they get opportunities or not. So they keep like writing only for like local, sometimes national, and that's how their freelancing is going. That's not going far to international, and also the stories are not going there, which need to be like go there. So they need some sort of like, I think, some mentorship, or like some people really don't know how to begin, where to like approach people and all. So freelancing, I would say yes, there are two groups of people. There's one group of freelancers who are doing great, stories from Kashmir, not only from Kashmir, New Delhi, from Manipur and all Kashmiris. I think Kashmiri freelancers are reach everywhere in India. Not only India, they reach other parts of like Sri Lanka, Nepal, Bangladesh. They do stories from there, which is great. And you know, it's so inspiring to see Kashmiri journalists go to Manipur and report stories from Manipur. And so then there is other group which are like stuck at one place only, and I don't know why they are stuck. I have really no idea because I haven't talked to these people.
And are there any particular tips you want to give to the women freelancers or the aspiring ones, like who really want to, you know, take up this field and this, and particularly there are so many, you know, these maybe the fairs, or you know, they still do not know how to, you know, land up in freelancing. What do you want to tell to all those people?
Of course. So really, if I see like these colleges offering programs for like journalists, so I think now, because every college, most of the colleges in Kashmir have this journalism, so many people come out with journalism degrees and then they call themselves journalists just because they have a degree in hand and they do no work, and they are just with a camera and all sometimes and doing some Facebook journalism and calling themselves journalism. So I don't know what tips to give to them, but yes, if there are people who are really interested, who want to freelance, they should really focus on the things they want to do, the stories they want to do, and if they really want to know how to approach a certain editor, how to approach a certain publication, they should seek help, because it's very important, because you can't just go and, you know, navigate yourself. And also if they want to start, yes, experience is very important. Get yourself trained, get yourself interned at some office and some good like organization where you learn, not just where you sit and do nothing, where you learn. Go into the field, talk to people, it's very important. Talk to people, build contacts, which is very important. And if you have good story, like approach some senior journalist who is very helpful and ask that person, how should I approach this story, where should I pitch it, it's like a good gender story, where should I pitch it. Obviously there are people who help, yeah, there might be people who won't help, but there are many people who are always there to help you. So if you are an aspiring journalist, you are just out of college or university and you want to write, so approach people, because I don't think without this help you would be able to do anything, because first thing you need in freelancing is contacts, and it's very important. And then also like people introduce you to editors, so that can also be done. So there are many things, it's just the need. If anybody is really passionate about freelancing, wants to write for this organization and that organization, so yeah, there are so many people around. I see, you know, many journalists who say, yeah, nobody approaches us and they really don't want help, this is new generation, so they say that they want to do things on their own. But I think there is always a ladder where a person needs to go up, so you have to start at the, you know, bottom of the ladder and then go up. You cannot jump to the top layer of the ladder. So yes, like there are many people around, I'm also around. If so anybody wants to help, they can approach.
And Raihana, what ways has been being a women journalist helpful for you to like approach your stories, approach your sources? Has it been, in the first place, has it been helpful to approach your sources and stories, your particular, like some particular specific themes as a women journalist in overall, not just Kashmir, in entire South Asia, because you have also reported from different parts of India. So,
yeah,
take us through that.
So for me, as I said before, I have been privileged in that sense, because it has given me access to women. So I would say I did a story on reproductive health where the women were hesitant to talk at first, but then when you know, start talking with them, they opened up with their stories. They talked about reproductive health, and it's very difficult for them to talk about this process, reproductive health, and their rights to like the other male journalists. So for me, it was good. So I feel I was privileged as a female journalist. I was like, I have seen, you know, many times where male journalists were not, like, you know, they were not given access, or like women were not comfortable to talk with them. They would simply say, we won't talk to a male journalist. So there I felt that for me it's a great opportunity, because I am getting to talk to these women, I'm getting to hear about their stories. So it was great. So even like when I did stories somewhere, I think in Nepal, I talked to a lot of women there. so they were very comfortable to talk to a woman, and they, you know, they get like a lot of they get free, they talk without any filters and all, so they don't have to keep a filter on their mouth to talk about this problem, that problem. So for me, as a female journalist, it has been great, and I would say yes, it has given me an edge. Always it has given me an edge over like male journalists in having access to certain stories which I feel that, yeah, male journalists might have some, even women might talk about them and all. So if there are like, you know, women talking about periods, so I feel that they don't talk to this problem with men, so they feel more comfortable talking to a woman. So it has been good in that sense.
And as a women journalist, do you sort of try to push yourself and not just, you know, quote people, quote only male, like, you know, for the stories that, you know, that to quote male for the gender stories, and like sort of give these space and try to represent that missing perspectives where you are like quoting women's sources, you're quoting women's sources. Has that been something that you keep in your mind and you just tell to yourself like, I really have to do this, or it's like something, it depends on the stories, you're really not conscious about this thing?
No, okay, I am really conscious about this thing, and you know, when we do a story, you really want a female expert also. But you know, one thing is there, sometimes you don't find a female expert in a certain field, so you have to go with a male, because male you find them in ample, like on they are everywhere. So even if you ask a contact for a certain, you know, expert, so most of the people will give a male contact, but then you write to them, I want a female expert particularly, so that's when you give them. So yes, you have to be conscious about that also, because we need a gender perspective also in the story. So yeah, I do that. I do try my level best to take like quotes from female experts also, females in the field also, because it's very important. But you know, one thing I have seen is that sometimes first the female experts, sometimes they are not like, you know, they really don't want to talk, and I don't know why. Sometimes they just say I don't want to talk and all. So males have normally been like good in that sense, because they talk and they give their perspective. So females would also brush you saying call me after few days and all. Like for a story, I have been calling a female expert for I think around a month, and she had been delaying me every day, call tomorrow, and she was a LGBTQ, she was an expert in that field, and she kept delaying for so long time that I had to kill the story at the end, because I was not finding another expert, and at the end I had to leave that story. So yes, there are challenges also, but yeah, there are always ways.
Yeah. So in Global South, I mean not just in Global South, in entire like global media, international media, we see so many people out there like are leaving their newsroom jobs, going into the freelancing. Do you think that's an advantage, or that's somehow you feel, you not just you see yourself that as a challenge, but do you think the space is shrinking in the sense there's now more competition in the pitching, the grants, and now, you know, you also need these local mentorships, you need local training, so that, you know, you stay there in the field and it doesn't sort of do the opposite kind of you know, thing. And so how do you see that trend of?
So I saw many people like coming into freelancing field, and also I think it was because of layoffs also, what AI did, and so many layoffs in newsrooms, that many people have come into the freelancing field. But I don't think like I should be like, you know, afraid like that person is coming, now my place will be taken and all, what should I do and all, because if you keep thinking about these things, so it only builds stress around a person. And also the person is not there to take your space. You have your own story to tell, you have your own stories about everything to tell. So the person can't tell that. If other person is coming in the field, he has his own story to tell, he has his own sources, he has another organization, you have other organization which you work with. So I don't think we need to be like afraid of all these things which are doing. So yes, yes, even I would say local mentorship, it's very important. You need it every time. Even if you grow, even if you're like 20 years of experience, 10 years of experience, you're always there to learn. So you meet new persons, you get these trainings, you get mentorship, you get to learn every day. So it shouldn't be like I have 15 years of experience, so why should I learn more? So for me it has been like every day you get to learn, every day You get to read new things every day, you get to meet new people, so it shouldn't be stopped. You shouldn't stop there. And also, don't see freelancers as a threat. Come on, there are, I think everybody comes into freelancing field with some sort of ambition and all, so we should be there, we should have unity, we should be there for each other and not see each other as threat. And mostly in Kashmir, don't see journalists as threats. Come on, be there like as a family, be there, have unity and talk about things. So
And Raihana, are there any particular trainings that you feel like should be there? And I mean, there are big trainings like happening at the global level where we, as freelancers, everyone is not able to compete, or there are like very limited slots. So tell us, like, what are those gaps you feel like they are still there, and there should be more and more such resources that should be out there.
yeah, of course, if I talk about journalists in global south and also particularly to Kashmir, so I think in Kashmir journalists do require hostile trainings, which is very important because we work in such environment which I don't see in other parts of India. So it's completely different environment when we work in Kashmir. When we go into field, it's a different environment. So yes, hostile trainings, and also like grant writing opportunities for journalists in Kashmir. Also, how to write pitches, how to write perfect pitches, how to approach editors, how to write grants, not only small grants, like how to approach these big organizations that give good grants. So that would be great if such trainings and everything take place in Kashmir. So I think it would be great for journalists in Kashmir who are not able to access these, not only because of slots, because many people don't know about these opportunities. Yes, like 60% people might be knowing, there are 40% people who have no idea about these trainings, where they are happening, how to approach, and how to like approach for grants and everything. So you see one person getting all the grants and other person is getting nothing, which is good if one person is getting, but other person should also, if he is like capable and all, he should also get that grant, so he should know where to go. So yes, these opportunities are very important.
And Raihana, is there anything that we have missed and you want to talk about?
I don't know if we have missed anything, so just one advice I would like to give all the people like who will be listening and all, so particularly around Kashmir. So keep reading, read a lot, which is very important. Read about what's happening in the world, so because that's how you get to know what.
Thank you so much, Raihana, for talking to us. It was lovely talking to you.
Same.
Wish you all
It was.
the best.
Thank you so much. It was my pleasure.